A Day in the Life was not only a groundbreaking song, but also a pioneering visual project for the Beatles. While the track itself was one of their most experimental, the music video reflected the band's innovative approach to combining music with visual art. At the time of its release in 1967, the concept of a music video was still emerging. The Beatles, always ahead of their time, recognized the potential to pair their music with compelling visuals to deepen the connection with their audience. For A Day in the Life, they took a unique approach that reflected the song's surreal and experimental nature. In January 1967, just weeks before the song's release, the Beatles filmed a promotional video for A Day in the Life. The video was intended to promote the single to television audiences, as television appearances were a vital part of a band's visibility. This was the same period during which the Beatles filmed promotional films for Penny Lane and Strawberry Fields Forever, some of the earliest examples of true music videos. Directed by Peter Goldman, the Beatles' longtime collaborator, the video for A Day in the Life was unconventional. Instead of a simple performance video, the band chose to explore a surreal, whimsical concept that matched the psychedelic nature of their music at the time. The video was shot at Abbey Road Studios, where the band felt most at home, capturing both the band members and the avant-garde world they inhabited in 1967. The video itself was a montage of surreal and abstract imagery, mirroring the song's complex structure. The band members appeared in their usual eccentric attire, Paul McCartney in a brightly colored suit, John Lennon in his distinctive avant-garde fashion, and Ringo Starr with his laid-back demeanor. The video also featured bizarre, visually striking sequences, including a shot of the band performing in front of a large sheet of glass with various props. One of the most memorable moments in the video is the dramatic final shot, where the band reacts to the orchestra's climactic swell in the song. The exaggerated facial expressions of the band members intensified the dramatic conclusion, visually mirroring the song's emotional intensity. The contrast between the relaxed Beatles and the chaotic orchestral crescendo made for an intriguing and innovative visual moment. However, the orchestral session that accompanied the song's recording was an equally unique part of its creation. The orchestral recording, which was filmed by a team led by Tony Bramwell from NIMS Enterprises, was originally planned for use in a television special. Unfortunately, the BBC banned A Day in the Life because they mistakenly assumed the song contained drug references, and the television special idea was scrapped. Despite the ban, the footage from these sessions would later resurface. In 2015, portions of the film were released in the A Day in the Life promotional film, included in the 3-disc versions of the Beatles video compilation 1+. Tony Bramwell, reflecting on the experience, recalls, "Remembering how just after we decamped to London, by February 1967, when I was still 20, I was directing the symphonic A Day in the Life on 35mm film, the kind used for Hollywood movies. Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, and Donovan took turns with handheld cameras. That night at Abbey Road, a producer named George Martin would instruct the orchestra thus: start quiet, end loud." This bold orchestral arrangement, led by Paul McCartney, featured the musicians playing individual ascending scales that built to a grand crescendo, contributing to one of the most iconic moments in Beatles history. Bramwell continues, "I clearly remember the filming of one of the final sessions for one of the tracks, A Day in the Life, when Mr. McCartney had arranged with Mr. Martin for a full orchestra, or as Paul described it, a set of penguins to play nothing, while he, Mr. McCartney, conducted the orchestra, in fact, played nothing scored, instead performing their own improvisational ascending scales. This unique and experimental orchestral session was part of what made the song's final recording so groundbreaking. Before the filming began, 16mm cameras were handed out to invited guests, including Mick Jagger, Marianne Faithfull, and Mike Nesmith of the Monkees. They were told to film whatever they wanted, which added a raw, spontaneous element to the footage. However, the BBC's ban on the song meant the footage was never aired as originally intended, not due to the content of the video, but because of the perceived drug references in the song's lyrics. Although the video for A Day in the Life may seem simple by modern standards, it played a pivotal role in the band's growing legacy and their influence on how music would later be presented. It was one of the first steps toward music videos as we know them today. marking the Beatles as innovators not only in music but in the way music could be visually communicated. This video was not created with the commercial expectations associated with music videos today. Instead, it was an artistic extension of the band's work, an expression that expanded their creative reach. These early video experiments helped shape the future of promotional filmmaking, setting the stage for the Beatles' later visual projects, such as Yellow Submarine and Magical Mystery Tour. Ultimately, the video for A Day in the Life is an important historical artifact, showcasing the pioneering creativity of the Beatles as they revolutionized music and media in the 1960s.